Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio, everybody. What is going on? It is Gail here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And today we're back with another Danmachi Season 5 video. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the things you need to know before you watch Season 5. Of course, the first episode dropped today, and I wanted to actually do this video after I watched episode 1, partially because while I had completed my research in the last 2 or 3 days and I knew what I wanted to talk about, I actually also wanted to watch episode 1 to gain a better idea of exactly what we're going to be getting in this particular season, just in case they decided to add a couple of episodes at the end, or if they decided to do more as a separate thing, like maybe a movie after season 5 ends or something like that. Well, it turns out, based on what we know, they are going to be covering volume 16, 17, and 18 all together in this season. Now, I'll talk about that in a separate video. In this video, however, I want to talk about all the things that you should probably look into before you start season 5, things that you should read, things that you should watch, and things that you should just acknowledge and understand before you get into season 5 entirely. Now, of course, if you guys want to enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of good stuff, and let me know in the comment section down below if I missed anything. If you are a light novel reader, let me know in the comment section down below. No spoilers, of course, just let me know that so that I can have a quick look and remember exactly what I missed out on, because even though I've done my research and everything, there is a good chance that I might have missed something. And you know, Danmachi is a huge franchise now, to be honest, to the point where sometimes even I forget certain things. So let me know in the comment section down below if I missed anything. Now, the first thing I would immediately say to people to read entirely is volume 15. Volume 15 was represented a little bit in season 5 in episode 1, and I do think it'll continue to be represented in bits and bobs throughout the entirety of the season as well. But I do think that it would be better for people, in all honesty, to go through the light novel themselves, because it's basically a sort of bridge between season 4 and season 5. Of course, you know, this is very similar to volume 8. Of course, this is something that came out after season 2. Technically, volume 8 was a light novel that bridged the gap between season 2 and season 3 as well. And we did get some bits of it in season 2, but of course, again, they skipped out on a lot of it. And it's the same thing here as well. It seems like we're going to be skipping out on a lot of volume 15. I don't think all of it, for sure. We clearly know that they're not skipping on all of it based on obviously the first episode. And I think we're going to continue to see scenes from it as well throughout the season. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But again, I think it's better if people read volume 15. In my personal opinion, it costs you like £5 or £6 on like a digital bookstore. If you can read it on your phone really quickly, you know, before the next episode airs and stuff, I think it'll be fantastic, because it'll get you an idea of exactly the entire situation going on, you know, between the seasons as well. Now, along with that as well, one thing I would highly recommend people do as well is go check out Sword Oratoria Volume 11, Gnosis War, and Sword Oratoria Volume 12, Orgeon Saga through Danmimo. Of course, Sword Oratoria Volume 11 and 12, you know, haven't been adapted into anime format, and they take place in between, actually, well, during season 4 and after season 4 a little bit as well. Before the events of season 5, but after the events of season 4, again, in the in-between period as well. But I would primarily say that volume 11 is the more important story, in my personal opinion, because there are specific scenes that will happen in volume 11 that will have consequences at the end of season 5 that unfortunately we won't be able to really explain very well, or the anime won't be able to explain very well, in my personal opinion, because they don't have a Sword Oratoria adaptation. This is again one of the biggest issues I have with SB Creative and JC staff combined together, as well as Amori, because Amori is in the meetings for these anime, you know, decisions and plans and stuff. By the way, I just want to point that out. He literally tweeted out today that he went through so many meetings that his head was boiling, to be honest, in terms of like how many meetings he's going through to make the anime as good as possible it can possibly be. But again, this is a big problem that I've been having with SB Creative for a while now, in that they just don't want to adapt Sword Oratoria again for some reason. After I know season 1 was a failure, but you can't let that stop you, you know, especially when it's so intertwined with the main series. But Sword Oratoria Volume 11 is very, very imperative. There are specific scenes in this that I don't want to really spoil, because otherwise you'll get the context of what I'm talking about later on, of course, right? But I highly recommend going through volume 11 and volume 12 of Sword Oratoria via Danmimo if you don't want to read the light novels, of course, right? This is the best way to do it. By extension, I would also urge you guys to read volume 9 and volume 10 as well, of course, right? So for volume 9, it would be Recollections of the Wind, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the one, if I'm not mistaken. Recollections of the Wind is the volume 9 story for Danmimo, of course. And then for volume 10, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember the name of it, but if you go to Gachampus's channel, I can probably have a quick look at it and go through it in more detail. But I would highly urge people to, you know, go through this. I think, well, Return of the Hero would be a good way to watch it, to be honest, but I would say Requiem of Death in the Maze? I think, no, that's not the one. I'm pretty sure it'll be, one second, if I can have a look through this really quickly. Okay, I can't spot it through my eyes. Maybe I'm missing it, but I would highly urge you watch the volume 10 Danmimo story as well, Sword Oratoria volume 10 if possible. Maybe I can actually find it if I look at my channel, because I probably must have made a video talking about it. Volume 10 Sword Oratoria adaptation, to just get the idea of the name, so you guys, Overture of the Sword and Spear, there you go. That's the one. Thank you, Gachampus, for actually having it in the title. I must have just completely blanked on it. This is the other one that I would highly recommend reading. So volume 9 to volume 12 is something I would highly recommend going over. Volume 9 is sort of a Ai's backstory light novel, basically. Volume 10 covers the Loki Familius perspective of the Xenos situation, but it does give more insight into everything that's going on in Sword Oratoria as well. And then 11 and 12, you're getting into the nitty-gritty, basically, of like a big arc. It's a very, very long set of stories, but it's very, very important, in my opinion, to the context of what's going to happen as well in Season 5 to an extent as well. But like I said, there's massive repercussions in the later parts that unfortunately I think we're going to miss out on. And well, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to really understand because of the fact that they don't want to adapt Sword Oratoria. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine for that one. And then finally, the last thing I would say that you guys should look into is, of course, none other than Danmimo's Astrea Record. You can either read the light novels, which we have volume 1 and volume 2 out. I think volume 3 is coming out next month, I think, or volume 3 is coming out in December. One of the two. Highly urge you guys read Astrea Record, because Astrea Record is again going to have a massive implication on effectively Ryu's journey and Ryu's entire arc that we have going on as well in the story simultaneously, right? Because we see Ryu has been given a lot of importance in this episode 1, and will continue to have some more importance as well as the episodes go along. And so in my personal opinion, you should be reading Astrea Record, because again, it'll give you an idea of what exactly happened all those years ago, give you an idea of Ryu's backstory, the start of Orario. It'll also give you this, you know, the origins of the current iterations of Otaro, and also the Loki Familia as well, technically, and obviously the birth of Eyes as well, you could say, in a way, in Orario. So I highly recommend Astrea Record as well. But these are the 3 main content pieces that I would highly urge people, you know, look into going into Season 5 from Season 4, of course, right? I mean, of course, Season 4 is something you should have already watched and stuff, right? And there will be certain scenes in Season 4 that weren't obviously adapted, you know, from the light novel, of course, right? So if you guys want to, again, that's another thing that you could do. This is a bit of a lower priority, is obviously reading through volumes 12 to 14, of course, right? Now that obviously is pretty obvious. You should probably go through that. Volumes 12 to 14 is covering the entirety of Season 4. You get a little bit more of an idea there again as well, with certain small finer details that they might have missed out on. Again, Season 4 was adapted relatively well, if not exceptionally well, for Danmachi standards, I would say, of course, right? So it would be a great way for you to potentially still have a better idea of exactly what Amori is wanting to do, because a lot of people will compare Wistoria and Danmachi and stuff like that, and also Danmachi with other shows and stuff. You have to remember that Danmachi is a light novel adaptation compared to Wistoria's manga adaptation. It's going to be harder to adapt because there's just generally more content in it. Wistoria adapted 21 chapters. 21 chapters of a manga is effectively like a light novel, if not a light novel and a half, whereas these series want to adapt Danmachi in like 13, 14, 15, 16 episodes half the time. Like light novels worth of content in this. It's why I keep saying I wish we'd had more than 20 episodes usually, or 18 episodes at the very least for a season, especially if it's covering 3 light novels, right? It would be better. Look at ReZero, 36 episodes or something ridiculous like that, although they're adapting a huge number of volumes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll have to wait and see, of course, on how they go on from here. But this is all I would say that you guys need to look into. I would highly urge you guys to go into all of these stories that I said. I think they're going to be high priority in my personal opinion. Again, like I said, if I missed out on any side story or what, you know, not what if, but side story or any particular light novel that I should have mentioned as well, let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, if you guys want to, another thing that you could do simultaneously is potentially have volume 16, 17, and 18 up and ready to go just in case they do cut content. I will say episode 1 so far, outside of some volume 15 stuff that people are annoyed about, which I'll talk about in a separate video, of course, right? It'll be part of that video where I'm talking about the whole episode count, and based on what we know so far, is it actually going to work or not? I think they've done a good job in episode 1. Personally, to me, they've done a good job. They've done it, the needful, I would say. Yes, some scenes could have been dragged out a little bit and stuff like that, and I think a better episode count would have helped with that potentially, right? But if you're trying to contain as much as possible in one episode, right, and especially where they were trying to cliffhanger at, I think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest, the way they were doing it, to be honest, you know. And I think they've covered, I think, so far about a chapter and a half or 2, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think about 2 chapters nearly now. Or they're doing the start of chapter 2 or something like that of volume 16. So there is that. So we'll wait and see, of course, on that front. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Again, if you guys have read the light novels, if you guys have read, you know, the actual light novels for volume 16, 17, and 18, and if you feel I missed out on anything else that people should probably take a look at before you get into season 5, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.